Hey everybody, before we get into this video, there are a few shoutouts I want to make for those of you who participated in a small mystery that I had in my last video pertaining towards a bird being spotted. Green Blaza, Rhythmatic, and my boy Mark Ramos. All three of you guys I commend for actually taking the time to look at something that not everyone did look into and actually understand an understanding and not get stuck on a physical bird.
Anyway, among the snakes and other things down here we have the toad, which is pretty much another symbol of plague and pestilence and all sorts of things I've spoken of before. Also, next to the toad, or beneath the toad here, we have a spider or some form of tarantula. But I did want to point out as well...
They have a fucking tattoo. Seriously, you guys, look. They have a tattoo called The Wages of Sin. Okay? The Wages of Sin. Or Death. Alright? Now, I want you to understand.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Whispy Theories. In this video, you guys, this is part 5 of our Q&A. And as we get down to some of the newer finds that have been found within the community, one of the most major things that has not only been brought up, but has been brought to my attention by the likes of my subs and a few other people, are a few questions about these fucking spider webs. Now, I want to make something note within this video. There's a reason why I have not talked about these spider webs yet, and one big reason is because we don't necessarily know what the fuck they really are. I want to make something very clear. My personal opinion, I don't necessarily think they are anything. But does this stop us from gaining some clarity within the mystery? No. This can give us some understanding within our path, and possibly something that we have not been looking at the right way. So, before I do continue, I want you to understand I'm not debunking this web, and I'm not bringing any light to say that it's not true. What I'm saying is that, is it necessarily something physical that we're supposed to do with this web? Me personally, my opinion, I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think so. I feel as though it's one of the many symbols, okay, within the game that have to tell us certain things. But this symbol in particular is very odd because it shows up at a specific time and then goes away at a certain time. But one thing that has been misconstrued within the timings of this web is how and when it reacts. I'm going to show one thing, okay, within the outlook of this web and the other web that I feel as though certain people aren't looking at, that I feel as though this web is tied to the camera of the player. Now, I'm not saying that the web shows up because of the camera. I'm saying that the reaction of the web is based upon the camera. Now, as we look here, Michael is looking at the web. Now, one thing I want to be known is that when we look at the web, you can see that part of it, for some reason, glitches in and out. Okay. Now, does this mean it's fake? Does this mean that it's not necessarily intended to be here? This could mean a lot of things, you guys. Okay. This could be the same way that the UFOs react within their cloaking devices. Not literally, but within the game's actual makeup of how things reappear and disappear. I'm not 100% sure if this web, okay, reappearing and disappearing, is part of any sequence, okay? But what I am sure is that me and Herbalist, okay, have brought up many things that have to do with spiders. And one tie to spiders, okay, is to Dharma. Okay, so for my first question here is from my boy Craig Blackburn and a few others who actually asked about this web. His question in particular pertained to the web and its significance to the Dharma theory. Now, one thing I feel as though you're looking at, bro, is the physical web, and you're looking at the actual design and the trigrams of the web, and I feel as though you're 100% right within the design, and that's one way we understood symbolism within Dharma and a spider, okay? Now, there is one more thing within some duality that has to do with something that GTA has made fun of before, and that is TV shows that has to do with Dharma and a spider. Even something as simple as Dharma and Greg.
As I said, Dharma and Greg feature a character called Spider. And Spider is a self-defense teacher from an episode called Instant Dharma. Now, Spider, within tvtropes.com, a site that is focused on conjoining a lot of the same elements that different TV shows and movies and so on and so forth have used several different times. It is to unite a lot of the same things that we have been looking up throughout the mystery. And karma is one of them. Also, the law of inverse fertility.
Yes, I understand. This reference isn't necessarily closely tied to Rockstar, but if we have made anything note within this mystery, is that we need to look at all things, including movies, music, TV shows, history, and Rockstar. In keeping with that, we can understand certain things that not only Rockstar, but the world is telling us. And that is of the same importance of Dharma and the spider. One more thing I want to bring up before I move on from the spiderweb topic is my personal opinion, and that is, physically, I don't feel as though we're supposed to do anything with this. I'm not 100% sure on what we would if we should, but me personally, I don't think we need to physically do anything. I feel as though it's a symbol, and they appear and disappear. And one reason I feel as though not only is there's more than one of them, but the reason why they disappear and reappear is because we would have questioned this from the beginning of the mystery if it was just sitting there. We would wonder, why is there a thick-ass black spiderweb? Now, one thing that I want to make note is that I don't even feel as though they are literally spiderwebs. I feel as though that within the game's actual makeup, they are power lines. And I feel as though if you just look at the power lines, it gives some leeway to the same thing. Even the way they fluctuate from non-existent to existent are the same way that the power lines react. And I feel as though a spiderweb would be a lot thinner and not so thick. Even the second web doesn't necessarily make sense within a spider web. It's somewhat impossible. Let me show you what that. Okay, so now we're looking at the second spider web. Now, one thing that's been noted within these supposed mysterious spider webs is the fact that they come at precisely 1 a.m. and they are to last until 2 a.m. Now, what I feel is going on here is not necessarily a physical step. The reason why I'm saying this, okay, is not to debunk anything. It's not to say that this web does not have importance. It's to show you guys that there can be some logic to what we're looking at, but when you start putting logic to it, it starts to, somewhat crumble under its own weight of credibility. Now, this is what I mean. If this web, okay, was a physical step, something we were supposed to walk up to, do, and then go on to the next step, if it was, okay,
then I wonder, okay, why is it that the only way to see this fucking web, alright, is a certain time, but the time isn't necessarily what dictates it's showing up or not. And that is what weirds me out about this thing, because if you don't look away while it's 1 o'clock and then re-look, then the web never shows. So I wonder, why would they put that type of Easter egg in the game when we have ghosts and we have spaceships, okay, that show up when you're there and you're staring? You can stand on top of Mount Chiliad, okay, and wait until 2:59, and you can stare straight until you see a UFO appear right in front of your eyes, okay? You don't need to pan your camera. All you need to do is look up, and you will see the UFO appear right in front of your eyes. Now, my point, okay, is that I would think that if this was a physical step, just like those, then this would react the same way as the ghosts and the other Easter eggs that are tied to certain timings like this. Let me explain. As you see, it is 1 o'clock and there is no web. Now, even 1:02, still no web. Now, my point about this, okay, before I do show you the actual web, is the fact that if the fucking UFO shows up right in front of our eyes, why doesn't the web? Why does the web react a lot differently when it comes to this camera? This is what I mean. As you see, five fucking minutes have passed. Okay. 5 in-game minutes. Still no web. Okay. 7. Okay. Nothing. Now, 16 minutes in, you guys. Still nothing. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I do next, because this is my point about this fucking web and why I think it is possibly just symbolism, okay? Because if this was a physical step, like the other physical steps that reappear and disappear, then they would react at least the same way. Not to say that this could be a new one that we not necessarily understand yet. But if we are going to understand it within the same concept as these Easter eggs that disappear and reappear, then I think we need to at least compare the two. Now, notice how I pan my camera down, okay, so that the camera does not see this area. And there's the web. Now, my point about this, okay, is that this is 20 minutes in. Okay, this is 19 minutes in-game within this Easter egg. Now, my biggest point within this, you guys, that I kind of want to lay rest, is the fact that if I can sit here and not pan my camera, the web will never show up. 2 o'clock will go by, the web will never show. Okay? So, where's the physical step? I don't get it. And this is what I mean by this. If I sit here and stare at it not being there, it will never show up. And then the time will go by. It will go by. I'll miss the 1 hour that I actually have for this thing to show up. So, if I can sit here and stare at this place, okay, and never see it, how can we call this a physical step? Okay? Because I don't feel as though it's reacting anything but itself. And it's just the truth. When you when you come here at 1 o'clock, yes, it will be here. Okay? But that's because you've moved your camera. If this was an Easter egg to show up at a certain time regardless of how we did anything, and as it was supposed to be a step, then it would show up right in front of our eyes. It wouldn't wait for us to pan the camera and then for us to look at it. Now, one thing that is also misconstrued about the timings of this web is how it goes away. The supposed time that it goes away is 2 a.m. Okay? But that's when it goes away, when you're panning the camera. There's only one way for this thing to go away right in front of your eyes, and it happened to me, but it did not happen at 2 a.m. And it actually happened at a random time, and that's my point about this web being a physical step. I don't think it is. Okay? Because we know for a fact from 3 a.m., okay, to its end, the UFO shows. We know it. That's a structured time. We can see it show up and go away. We don't need to do any other trick. We don't need to turn our camera. We don't need to do any of that. So why would we need to do that here? Why? This is my point. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here, you guys. Alright, I want you guys to realize there is no clips within this. Alright, this is one long playthrough. Now, pay attention. There's no spider web, right? Okay, and this is about 2,200 hours within the game. Okay, now, it's almost 1 o'clock. Alright, now my point about this, alright, is that when you think about the game's Easter eggs, okay, they are timed, but this one doesn't necessarily make sense if it was a physical Easter egg, no different than UFOs. I don't think it's the same, because you can dictate whether or not this thing shows up, and you can't do that with the ghost or the fucking UFO. That's something that happens regardless, and it's going to happen because of the sequence that the game is dictating, not your level of dictation towards the camera view. Now I want you to understand what I mean. This is one playthrough. Now what I'm going to do is stay here as Michael. Alright. Again, notice I'm not looking, alright? My character is not looking at the web yet. Neither characters. Now, I take Trevor, alright, and it's about, let's see what time it is as Trevor. It's about 2:38, okay? Now, as we go into a cab, alright, I'm going to get a ride all the way to where Michael is. Now I skip, alright. Now we're in the same place, okay? Same place as Michael. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I mean by this. Okay, notice how the web is there, okay? Because we are at the right time. Now watch. My biggest point about this, you guys, is that if this was a physical step, okay, it would react like this whether you're looking at the fucking web or not. It would not turn on and off depending on a camera view. It would not. You know why? Because if you sat here and stared at this exact place, okay, if you sat here and stared at this exact place from 2200 hours to 3 a.m., the web will never show. If you don't move your fucking camera, the web will never show. So, how does a physical step like that stay hidden purely because you need to look away and then look again? That does not seem like a physical step, nor does it seem like anything intentional. It seems like a glitch. I'm not going to debunk it as one. I'm not going to say it is. I'm saying that it seems like it. What I'm really getting at here is that I feel as though, once again, it is tied to possibly symbolism, okay, and Dharma. So now we're looking at the web, okay, and this web is supposedly supposed to go away at 2 a.m. That is the time that you can look away and then look back, and it should be gone, okay? For many of you who have seen Wizzle's video, this is why Wizzle spins around for you to see the fucking web, because if he didn't spin around, you will never see the fucking web. Now, my point to this is that means the time isn't as structured as we think it is. I want to show you what I mean by this. Now, as Trevor, I switch back. And the web is there. Switch back, the web is there. Switch back, the web is there. Okay. And I keep switching back and forth, wondering, how does this thing really react? Now, what's interesting is that right when I moved, that's all I did. That's all I did, you guys. I moved my camera, alright, down, and then I, just check it out. This is what I'm talking about this Easter egg, or supposed physical one. Why would it react so stupidly as to only turn on and off when we move the camera and then move it back? Because that's the only time that it reacts. As you see, it's gone. Okay? And the time is 2:27. Okay? Now here's a fact, you guys. When you think about the UFOs and the ghosts within the game, do they go away when you slightly shift your camera and then they not reappear until the next time? No. They show up from the time they show up, okay, from the time that you are not in the same area. This web reacts regardless of how you look at it in any part of the area, and it goes away only when you shift your camera. Now, some of you can argue that, the UFOs disappear and reappear, but this is a bit different, and if you open your mind, I think you'll be able to see what I mean by this. If you are at the top of Mount Chiliad during 3 a.m. in the thunderstorm and all the weather events, that UFO is going to show up. Doesn't matter if you move the camera or not. Okay? It's gonna show up. Period. Even with the ghost, it's gonna show up right in front of your eyes. This web only shows up if you're not already looking at it. That makes almost no sense. Because let's say we did know that the web was for sure a step. Well, if we go down to the place where the web is and we wait until the supposed step, the web will never show up unless we pan our camera. Do you really think that's a step? Now, my point to all of this shit is, what if we stared at the fucking web until about 5 a.m. in the morning or 8 o'clock at night? The point is that there's no given time, because we can make the fucking web sit there or never show up at all. And we can't do that for the UFOs. We can't do that to the ghosts. So I don't necessarily think that they are as physical as we're leading them to be, just because we're looking at them and they are physical. Now, this specific question did run a bit long because I got the most questions about it. Now, let's move on to the rest of the Q&A. Okay, so next question is from my boy, the Pothead. And he asks what the fuck I think of Brian and his blog about the unwritten tract of Epsilon. Now, real shit, I was never, ever gonna talk about this motherfucker, but, you know, a few people have asked me about him, so I'm just gonna clear the air. Me and him are not the same, okay? I'm just gonna make this very clear, real shit, because I'm tired of hearing about him a little bit. I'm not saying that he's wrong or that he's not going within a path. Real shit, cool. Like, if any of you feel the need to go and follow his way, then go for it. I encourage anyone of free thinking. That's dope. I even encouraged him when he approached me, but the way he approached me one day I really didn't like, and it's because of his ego. He's egotistical as fuck, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and let the personal outlook of who Brian is sway his information. Dude does have a lot of information on this site. Is it credible? Is it real? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna keep it honest. I don't fucking know. You know why? Because Brian doesn't fucking help. Alright, I'm sorry to say it, but it's just real. This is not gonna turn into a rant, but this is just some real shit that I gotta get out. Brian doesn't fucking help, and real shit, Brian, if you're watching, you know you don't fucking help, bro. You have made this blog ever since 2013, okay? And real shit, if you were some kind of fucking messiah like you think you are, you would have given us some part, okay? Some part of any physical evidence to what you're talking about. And honestly, this is why you piss people off, okay? Because you go on and on and on about what the fuck you know and why we should fucking worship you over it, and then you just give us like vague ass bullshit, okay? At least when I'm cryptic, okay, to other people, I'm giving them a reason to understand what cryptic shit is really about and how to decipher it. When you're cryptic, you just write a shitload of poems and fucking stupid shit to get people even more confused with a mystery that's 10 times more confusing than the shit you put. Like, and people, you need to understand what I mean by this. This is, what the fuck is making a whole nother tract, okay, a whole nother book going to do to help us decipher a book? Think about it. We're already trying to decipher the Epsilon tract. We're already trying to decipher the altruist camp script and shit. So why the fuck do we need, okay, an unwritten tract? Why? Why do we need something else that's a whole nother mystery in itself? Motherfucker, if you know the answer, give it to someone. Stop going to fucking Reddit in different places like my channel and acting like people should make fucking videos about you, okay, when you're obviously just not taking your shit to the next level. And this is the same thing with the JGCS group. The motherfuckers came to me asking, not even asking, okay, they were demanding a fucking shout out because they did shit early on in the mystery that has to do with deep shit, okay? And this is no different with him. This motherfucker wanted me to make a whole video about him, okay? The day he contacted me, he said, make a Brian video. And I told the motherfucker, I don't even know who you are. This real shit. Herbalist had to fucking tell me who this guy was. And my point about this is this. If I've understood every bit of what I've understood about the mystery without looking at this fucking site, then apparently, Brian, we don't fucking need you. And real shit, your whole Messiah thing, it's fucking stupid. Okay? Because if you've been doing this shit for 2013 and these leaked information, stop acting like you got leaked information too, bro. Okay? This mystery is meant to be solved, stupid. Alright? And here's fact of it. Rockstar would have never mentioned that there was Easter eggs in the game that were obscured. They would have never mentioned that if they were not implying you to look. So stop acting like you're fucking leaking something that they didn't want out. They want it out, stupid. They want us to figure it out. Stop acting like you got some government shit. You don't. Alright? At the end of the fucking day, this is a video game, and we're trying to figure out some shit that is possibly going to be historical. Period. Alright? You're not God. Get over it, Brian. Alright? If that's your real name. Real shit. I think you guys is just doing some stupid ass fucking rearrange and segregate with Brian meaning brain, and it's like, that's kind of what I mean about Brian. Okay? He just knows a little bit. Okay? Real shit. His big thing is music. And cool, dude. You think the answer is all music. That's awesome. But if that shit wasn't a dead end, then why the fuck are you still hunting? Period. Period, dude. Alright? Your information went as far as music and nothing else. Period. You can give all your little subliminal crap, talking about rainbows, all this other shit, but until you make full sense of it and show some shit, I'm sorry, but your blog is a blog, and it helps no one. Okay? It's for you to jot down your fucking thoughts and make yourself seem cool in front of people who like your blog. Period. Alright? My videos here are to help anyone who is strong within their path. Even you. But you think I should make a video about you. Come on, man. Come the fuck on. Like I said, anyone who feels the need to go to this shit, go for it. But all he's going to tell you is that the music is the answer. Okay? Not the movies, not anything else, but the music. And I'm sorry, but bro, you're just stuck in one duality. It is what it is. So for my next question here is from my boy Martin, who asks, what do I feel as though will happen when I complete my path? Now, I've gotten asked this several different times, but honestly, I feel as though something within the lines of the Judgment Day, okay? Possibly a lot of things, okay? And the reason why I say a lot of things is because I don't want to cut possibilities short. We don't know. But I honestly love the fact that we don't know, because it's what keeps us searching within different aspects. And it's what bases a lot of our information on the right information. If we did not know that, say, the rapture or the apocalypse was relevant within the ammunition or a lot of the things that the game references, then we would not know that a lot of the game's references towards natural disaster was relevant. Now, this can coincide with movies like 2012 or even the newest movie called San Andreas. A lot of these aspects have to do with natural disaster and why they play within LA, and a lot of the things that have to do with a duality of this game and the setting that it's in. It's obviously going for aspects of disasters and things that have happened within movie disasters. I feel as though what we are really looking at here when it comes to the end is literally the end. We are possibly going to get a real-life version of Judgment Day. And honestly, it might be tied to a lot of things that have to do with religion, history, and Rockstar's past.